Hey, HR friends, welcome back. So we did it. We made it out of the 3-5, and we're now starting the 3-6 emotional 6.5 day sequence. Now, the 3-5 took us to the metaphorical high tide. Then, at this point right here, when day one starts, that's going to be slack tide. And then for the next 6.5 days, the tide is going to fall until we reach a low tide again. And these are the electromagnetics that we're going to experience. So, the up and down movement of this tidal sequence. And it's super important to understand this unseen sequence, this up and down movement of it. Why? Well, these polarity moments, what they do is they agitate our design. And you see, we're designed to be defensive. We have a defensive system of control hardwired into our bodies. It's called the fight or flight mechanism. And what happens is these unseen agitations, they actually activate that defensive mechanism. So when these elevate without your permission, without your consent, without your awareness, your defensive nature or your human nature starts to engage. And knowing when these points come is the only way that you can combat this system of control. You see, it manipulates our choices, and we didn't even realize this was happening. Okay. So Health Reconnected has gone out of its way to create these graphs to show you how it's manipulating us at the first person level. That's going to be all the people in your sphere of life, the people that you live with, the people you see at work, the people in your community, and how that can agitate you about maybe their communication with you or how their routines aren't getting along with yours. These are going to be moments when you're going to feel compelled to kind of lash out or try to correct things, and that's okay to want to correct things and make things smoother, but you definitely don't want to do it in defensive ways. You don't want to make your stress worse, and you don't want to ignore your stress. Now, the third person agitations, these are the things that are going to irritate you about the bigger picture. These are your philosophical beliefs, the way that you think the bigger picture should run. And a lot of people invest in that. And these are the moments when it's going to trigger you to maybe argue about that with other people or make it a bigger concern than it needs to be. Now, in addition to talking about and separating them into first and third person, we also combine them. Why? Stress is messy. If you've got stress in your family or you've got stress in your work, well, it's hard not for those things to mix. And then if you're already stressed out at home and you're stressed out at work, and then you see something in the bigger picture about a philosophical belief you really invest in and it's not going the way you want it to, well, that's going to make it even more. It amplifies it. So what we do is we combine this so that you can easily see how these two different levels of agitation are overall going to affect everyone's defensive design. Everyone is being agitated. We're all going through the same amount of agitation. And knowing when these moments, these polarity moments, are trying to manipulate our decisions and they're trying to make us be defensive, which is negative. Why is it negative? Well, it causes stress. And stress accelerates the aging process. And if you want to slow the aging process, the only way to do it is to eliminate your stress. The other thing stress does is it will accumulate over time. And that stress then leads to future states of disease. So by minimizing your stress and preventing your stress, you can prevent and reverse disease. That's how cool it is to understand this pattern. And that's why we're going out of our way at the beginning of all these forecasts to really explain why this is so important to understand. Now, we're going to talk about day one here because when the first day starts in a new sequence, the tide has reversed direction. And this little gap right here, you see on the purple one or the polarity moments for third person, how this is elevated? Well, this is a third person sequence. What's happened here is an emotional polarity has flipped and it's holding and maintaining, and it's going to hold it for about 24 hours. You can see how this is elevated. Now, it doesn't really reach a 4, and 4 is the number we're concerned about because when it gets above a 4, it really activates things. But this is going to be strong, and this is a constant agitation. So you really want to be on high alert here, okay? Now, when we add first and third together, you can see that we get to a 4 and hold a 4 and even get above a 4 here, and especially when this sequence starts. Now, the good news is when we look across here and we look to day 2 and day 3 and day 4, it doesn't start to get spicy until 5, 6, 6.5, okay? So we've got some time here to really get calmed down, really know what's coming, because at the end of this sequence, I promise you, it's going to get hard. And after this sequence, we've got another one. The 3-7 is going to be even tougher. It's going to start out tough and it's going to end even stronger. So we really want to prepare you for this. Now, the most important thing that we can do for you is let you know when this is happening and how you're going to feel as this is happening. When this title change switches out on us, it's kind of like a jet lag feeling. You see, we just got to a high tide, and now the flow of the current is gonna reverse, and it's gonna take our bodies a hot minute to get used to that. So the first 24 hours is usually the toughest, and then halfway through day 2, things are gonna start to calm down. Now, super important you don't make this harder on yourself, because if you lash out at the people around you or you ignore your problems, then what's gonna happen is you're not gonna be able to achieve the objective of this space-time reality. We are sentient beings in a space-time reality, and sentient just means that we're emotional, and we have to work through our emotions in positive ways. And if we let our defensive design take over or manipulate our choices, then what happens is we end up not getting along with our teammates. You see, we're all born into this interconnected team as either sons or daughters. And sons and daughters are the immature or the maturing members of the team. They're trying to figure out how they fit into the team, what they're going to contribute to the team. And up here, we've got the more mature members. We've got the fathers and the mothers. These are supposed to be the leaders of the team. We're supposed to be nurturing the sons and daughters and helping them develop their skills, but most importantly, making sure as they develop their skills that they're going to add to the team atmosphere. Now, the problem is we didn't realize we existed in a sentient space-time reality. So what's happened here is our past and present leadership has kind of been encouraging our team members not to be so balanced. And it's not their fault, they didn't know. But what happens here, because we're defensive in nature, because we're designed to be defensive, we're gonna raise our families, we're gonna raise our teams, the people we care about, we're gonna say, "Well, let's take care of us first. Let's make sure that our future is secure," and we try to accumulate resources that can give us that security. Now, when you get a lot of families that are doing this and they're competing with one another, what happens is they start to accumulate resources in a way that it makes it hard for all the other families to get them too. And instead of working together as an interconnected team, we end up competing with each other and creating all kinds of chaos at the larger level. Now, that's exactly what's happened. We've overinvested in our individual and family perspectives, and this is because of our design. We've been tricked into it. Again, we're defensive in nature, and we're trying to defend our future to make sure that it's gonna be safe and prosperous for the people we care about. What we didn't understand is we all come from the same math. So it doesn't matter what family you're from, we're all supposed to be doing the same thing, and all our leadership is supposed to understand the same thing. We're supposed to understand, first of all, we gotta keep our team in order, and we gotta help our younger members of the team understand how to become leadership in the future. We also have to help them with their desires, because when you become interested and you find out what it is you're gonna contribute, it's very easy to overdo that. And when you overdo what you're interested in, what it does is it stops you from having the time to equally invest in all 4 things here. And you start to neglect your responsibilities to what needs to happen at the larger level to keep our environment and our world safe and secure, and to keep our communities within our nations equal and just. Okay. Now, that's just what's happened here. Now, why would you want to know this construct? Well, this is the reason. If you do this objective, so to do this objective at the individual level, you literally just have to commit to your team. And you don't just commit to the team that you're from, you have to understand that you're part of a bigger team. And you need to be able to commit to all the teams that share this planet, all the families that are in this interconnected experience. And once you do that, and once you start to treat people as if they're part of your family, and you start to make sure that your routines are balanced and reflect that understanding, what's going to happen is this: you're going to be in perfect alignment with the governing frequencies that overlook this interconnected experience. These governing frequencies demand that we not only submit and we serve our team, but we equally provide at these 4 levels, because that's the only way we can create peaceful and prosperous society for all of us. Okay. Now, if you do that, there's a huge reward. If you commit to your team and you commit to a routine and you give your skill set, but make sure that you're also involved in these other areas, then you're in perfect alignment. And what that does is when these frequencies test us, you're in balance, you're in harmony with them. When you're in balance or in harmony with these frequencies, you don't age faster, you actually slow the aging process. It empowers your body to heal itself and maintain a healthy state. You can get to optimal health, but to get to optimal health, what you have to do is you have to commit to optimal balance. Commit yourself to a team, Learn how to become a leader within that team so that you can show all the future generations what it is that we have to do to make sure that every generation that comes after us has a peaceful and prosperous world where everybody can thrive and everyone can strive. That's what Health Reconnected is here to inspire. All right. So that's a pretty good reason for why you'd want to do this. Now, if you do this as an individual, you can slow aging and heal your body. But if we can get regions of individuals to commit to the team and commit to balanced routines, we can start to heal our environment. We can minimize the tragedies that are happening in our societies. Super important that we spread this message because once you understand how this math works, you have the answer on how to make everything better. We can stop being deceived by this pattern up here that's making us fight and run away from our problems. We can take responsibility, use our free will and our conscious awareness to make everything exponentially better. That's what Health Reconnect is here to help you do. All right, so let's get down now. We're going to talk about the zoomed in 24-hour period. And what we do in this zoomed in 24 hours is we really highlight the peaks and the valleys of this electromagnetics, and then we synchronize it with all 24 time zones. So you'd come down here, you'd find their time zone offset. Once you find your time zone offset, this will hold for 10 seconds. Take a screenshot. Now you've got it all day long. This is for people in rural areas that don't have good internet. If you've got great internet, I can tell you what you need to do. You go to healthreconnected.com. We have a live feed set to universal time. There's a time bar that runs right through this. Every single time that someone around you gets defensive or you start to feel defensive and you open this up, you're going to see that time bar is at one of these peaks, either third person, either first person, and the best place to look is at this combined. The closer this gets to a 4, the more active your defensive nature or human nature is, and there's nothing you can do to stop it other than to be aware of it and take over. You can override your defensive reflex, but it takes you being aware and wanting to reduce your stress. All right. Now that we're done with this, or at least explaining the best way to check this on a day-to-day basis, you can see what I was talking about here. You see this gap that happens when this 24-hour period starts. Third person agitation is going to be way up. Now, first person's kind of pretty light here in the first 12 hours, and it picks up at the end, okay? And it's almost the opposite in third here, where the majority of this 24 hours, high alert. There's going to be a lot of things going on in the big picture that are going to be trying to get under your skin. Don't you let it. It's a trap. Now, these two things are going to kind of aggregate together, and you can see how they form some pretty good peaks here throughout the day. You're going to want to know when these peaks are and make sure that you're not falling victim to them. All right. Now, that's enough about the electromagnetics because this 24-hour segment, as always, whenever we change into a new set, it is high alert, red alert, highest alert here. Really pay attention. Now, to complicate this, we've got a ton of alignments today we got to talk about. And you can see them up here scattered all over the place. Now, what an alignment is, it's when two hands of the clock align. And when you come to our website, the hands of the clock are actually, they've got letters that tell you which hand is which hand. And these are when those letters align. And when they do, what they're doing is they're doing one of two things. They're either testing to see how well you do with your teammates. Are you getting along with your teammates? Can you talk to your teammates about their routines? Can you encourage your teammates to home in on their skill, but to be sure not to neglect their responsibilities to do all the other things we need our teammates to do in order to keep this an ordered and balanced place. That's what the blue ones are. Now, when you see these purple lines, those are alignments that have to do with routine. These are testing you to see if you have a balanced routine. Are you equally providing at the individual level? Are you equally providing at the family level? Are you equally providing at the national and the world level? And if your routines don't reflect that on a day-to-day basis, when these alignments come by and you're out of frequency, what's going to happen is unpleasantness. You see, these are the governing frequencies. And if you're in synchronization or if you're in harmony with them, they can empower you. They can make your body stronger. They can heal your body. If you're not doing what these frequencies want you to do, which is balance and equality, then when these alignments come, your body's going to take destructive interference. That's going to make you age quicker and ensure you get future states of disease and that things aren't going to go so pleasant for you. Now, that's just how this works. And we use these alignments to our advantage because as the time bar goes through this on our homepage, and you start to feel something during an alignment, meaning the time bar comes through and it's going through this alignment right here. And let's talk about this one. This is the PE, okay? So this is first person perspective, and this is talking about how we get along with leadership in the team, the mothers and the fathers. Are we respectful? Are we understanding what they're trying to do? They're trying to teach us to not only get good at the skill that we need to share with the world, but to balance. And if we do well with that relationship, well, that's great. We treat them with respect and we're listening to what they say. Then the good news is this: when this alignment comes, we're going to feel great. If we struggle with these relationships, when this alignment comes, then expect in the upper quadrants of the body, you're going to feel some unpleasantness, headaches, sinus pressure, visual changes, hearing issues, any kind of stiffness, musculoskeletal pain, all that stuff. That's what you're going to experience if you're out of balance. If you're in balance with it, all that stuff's going to feel better. You're going to be energized. Your immune response is going to be stronger. Okay. So, super important to know. So, that's the first alignment we talked about now. Now, we're going to look over here and we're going to look at the P on the opposite side. So this is testing for routines. And the routines here are for the individual and family. Now, this is going to affect the lower quadrants. So if you're out of balance and you're not contributing equally at the individual and family level for all team members, then you're going to experience something down here in the lower quadrants that won't be pleasant. You'll know because as we go through this, that time bar is going to tell you exactly where we are, and you can line up the times here to know when this alignment's going to happen. Now, today's kind of messy, okay? You see how there's all these alignments up here that are overlapping? So that's what we're going to go talk about next. So now we're going to talk about the MP, all right? And that's this one right here. It's 3 hours long. This is also going to test lower quadrants. So same thing, family and individual routines. Are we making sure that on a day-to-day basis we're checking in with the individuals in our lives and with all our family members, or in general, just talking about the importance of individual and family perspectives. Now, let's come down here and check out the next one below that as well. This is going to be the ME. Look at this, individual. So we've got one purple here, another purple here, and another purple here. And as the time bar goes through, it's going to be testing all of these at the same time, and it's going to be putting pressure on the lower quadrants of the body. And this is going to help you understand right away. If you have problems during this time, it's telling you what you need to do more in your routines and what you need to refine. Okay. We can help you with this, but in the beginning, we just need to know where you're at. All right. And these alignments are going to help us determine that. All right. So now let's talk about this blue one. That's this ME right here. Wow. Look at that. That's going to test lower quadrant too. So this is going to be a tough period right here. Ain't no doubt about it. Okay. All of those are going to the lower quadrants. Now, when we have a blue one, this is going to test on how well we get along with young females. So females that haven't really figured out their role yet, they're trying to figure out what they're going to contribute to the team. And we're going to want to encourage them. And we're also going to want to help them understand, but as they're figuring out and investing in what they're interested in, they got to be sure they're still investing in all the other things too that make our team and our environment as strong as possible. Okay. All right. So let's keep moving here. Now we're going to talk about this MP. All right. That's this guy right here, 6 hours long. This is testing that leadership again. How well do we get along with leadership? And also, are we developing our leadership skills? Are we becoming more mature males and females that are capable of helping the less mature males and females understand the importance of balance? That's what's going to happen. If you're doing that, great. You're going to feel great. If you're not doing that or you're struggling at that, this is a long, strong alignment, and it's likely you're going to feel it. All right, the last one we're going to talk about here is the EE. Okay, it's this guy right here. And it's at the end of the sequence, and this is coming back down to lower quadrants. This has to do with young male relationships. So just like this was young female, this is young males. How do we encourage them to develop their skill set, but also make sure that they're not becoming unbalanced as they're developing it? Huge, huge, very important that we learn how to communicate with everybody and help them understand the importance of what it is we're supposed to be doing here. All right, so that's enough about the alignments. There were an awful lot of them today. Okay, so this is going to be a tough day for a lot of people. Not only is there a lot of electromagnetics going on, but our test load today extremely high. So we're kicking this one off with an explanation point. The 3-6 means business here. All right, so now we're going to look at the testing sequences. And the testing sequences tell you how many frequencies are going to be in the different quadrants of the body, and it's pretty easy. Green is left upper, yellow is right upper, orange is left lower, and red is right lower, okay? If it's above a 4, that's a lot of frequencies. You can see left upper is at the 4 pretty much the entire sequence. Upper right below the 4, lower left above the 4, and the lower right is also at a 4. So there's a lot going on in the lower extremities, and there's a lot going on in the upper left extremity. Now, these are the strongest frequencies. On all the frequencies that are going to test us, these are the 10 strongest, and this is where they're parked on the body. So I like to just compare them side to side first. So on the left side, we've got 3 here, then we've got another 4. So we have 7 out of the 10 on the left. So you can see this is lopsided today. There's going to be a lot of testing on the left side. And when we look up here, it's kind of reflected. There's the left, the orange is the left. So now the alignments are also affecting the right. So you got to put that into play too. Even though there's less happening over here for the strong ones, there is a lot of alignment time happening, which means this, the whole body's fair game. Okay. Really pay attention to where you hurt because that tells you what you need to work on, tells you which relationships and which teammates you need to diversify and do better with. It also tells you exactly what routines need more of your attention. If you want your body to feel better and balanced, then you got to be willing to balance your routines and balance your contribution to the team. It's that simple. All right, let's keep moving here. This is already getting too long. So down here, what we have is we've got the rest of 2024 already posted. These are the electromagnetics for the rest of the year. This will show you every up and down before it happens. Super important to know when this is coming. And this is how Health Reconnected does such accurate predictions. Because of our defensive design and because we can see when our defensive design is going to be agitated, we can predict when things are going to get a little crazy because that's exactly what happens. If these things are stepping on the pedal to make us fight, well, it's pretty easy to understand why chaos is going to go up and conflict is going to go up. And what people didn't realize is when we get into chaotic states, our weather's connected to it. So that's how it's so easy for us to know when weather events are going to amplify as well. We actually create the amplification in our weather events when all of us collectively are acting foolish like this and falling victim to this pattern that we just didn't know existed. All right, so super important you know about that. And if you're going to travel or you have plans, now you can at least look forward. You've got the starting date, you've got the ending date, and you can see the days in between those dates. So you have access to this and you can prepare for it if you've already got plans to travel somewhere. I would be very cautious getting into big groups of people right now when these really elevate, especially with all the chaos that's been happening in our world here recently. All right. Now, I'm going to end on a bright note here, okay? I've been tired of doing confirmation videos on tragic, horrific events. And this was a geyser explosion that happened on July 23rd in the national park in Wyoming, okay? This is kind of a fun video and it just shows you the accuracy of our technology. All right, that's it. That's enough. We'll talk to you in the next 24 hours.